Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host Jennifer, and Bentley apparently wanted to make his voice known. He insisted on being in here with me, but now he is not happy. Are ya? Sir, it's time to go to work. Hey. Anyway. I am recording on my phone today because all of my batteries are dead. All of them. So, that's where we're at. I am late because this week's been kind of crazy. And I was out all day yesterday. I was supposed to record, but I did homeschooling. Then I was out all day yesterday. I had a bunch of stuff to do. And then this weekend is going to be even more crazy and just more and more stuff to do. So, I just really wanted to come on today. We're going to talk about what it's like to have crochet block or to have crafter's block, or how do you get over when you feel stuck. And I've discussed this on the channel in the past, but it always bears to be repeated because I have had a lot of people over the last week. I'm just turning my light down a little bit. It's kind of blinded me. I've had a lot of people over the last week. I have mentioned that I didn't feel like crocheting at all. Like, it's the after holidays, like, it's the after holidays blues. It's the after holidays wind down. Everything's calming down. The holidays can be really, like, stressful. It can be, all of that. Overwhelming. And I tend to go through this every January where it's just like I'm in a lull. You know? Did you say I know? Come here. He's like, Mama, I want out of the room. So, this week, you guys know that I told you I went like 5 days, and this is unheard of for me. I went 5 days without touching a crochet hook. Didn't want to touch it, didn't want to look at the yarn. And then I got the new yarn from Joann's, which some of it is right next to me. Because I did little swatches. Some of it has been put up back there. Some of it is on my shelf. And I kind of like filed it away. Not only did I do the swatches, which I really enjoyed playing with the yarn. I like doing swatches because there's no pressure to swatches. Sir, that is enough. Lay down. You're talking over the top of me. It's making me not concentrate. Oh, I dropped you. What do you need to say to the audience? Are you ashamed now? Sorry, I dropped you. And I'm recording on my phone, so I'm not going to edit that out. Swatching yarn, there's benefits of swatching yarn. One of the benefits is you get a real feel of what the yarn feels like and what it might be best as. So I talked through the swatches on what I thought. These are the two that I liked the least. What they might become, or what they could become, or what they should become. Because not all yarn is created equal, number one. So neither of those yarns I would turn into a wearable because they're on the thick side. And to me, that's not beneficial for the type of clothes that I like to wear. I like thinner yarns. This is Feederbrook Farms. This is a DK weight. This is Cotton Sprout. This is a DK weight. This sweater over here is actually, it's a bulky, but it's a lightweight bulky. Like, it's very nice and comfortable. And the only time I really use a bulky yarn or a stiff yarn is if I'm going to make like something that I want to be extra warm in. And neither of those I would put into a wearable. So that's like the good thing about working up swatches is it helps you to determine what that yarn can grow up to become. Like a beautiful hat, with this yarn. But the other benefit of swatching is, especially when you have crafter's block and you can't think of what to make, and the idea of picking up a crochet hook just is like, I can't right now. And for me, I know for some of you, you mentioned that you have crafter's block because you don't have anything to make for someone else, and that's what you generally do. And Christmas is over, and you made all the presents, and now you're like, okay, now what? because that's over. And for me, it's different. I mean, it's the same. I still have the same feelings. I don't want to pick. I don't know what to do. I don't want to do anything big. I don't want to, the feelings are the same. My reasoning is that I turned crochet into a career. And sometimes you need a break from your job. You need a little vacation, right? And that is my main thing, is like sometimes crochet stresses me out because the pressure behind it, because I need to make content for the channel, because I need to make another tutorial. It's been too long, because so many of my subscribers, I want to make them happy, so let's do this for them. I need a Monday Makes video. There's a lot of pressure behind crochet for me. And when I made too many big items, I was like, oh. But making the swatches at least put the crochet hook in my hand and got my creative juices wanting to flow, because I truly love crochet. And I truly enjoy crochet, and crochet can be very relaxing when there's not pressure behind it. And so because of that, the swatches, there's absolutely no pressure behind that. I'm literally just making a swatch to play with said yarn, which is fun in itself. And I highly suggest, if you have yarn and you're sitting there looking at your yarn, you're like, this is a gorgeous skein of yarn. This was gifted to me, by the way. I don't know why it's on my desk. She's talking to me. She's like, I need to be something. So if you have a beautiful skein of yarn and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, but what do you want to become? Because I don't know what to make out of this. Do a swatch. You can frog the swatch back out in most instances, as long as it's like a smooth yarn and it's not real furry. This one probably would not frog very well because there's wool in it, but make a little swatch and look at the way the fabric looks. Feel the way the fabric looks, or feel the way it looks. Feel the way the fabric feels. Does it inspire you to make something out of that yarn? Or do you have an idea of what that yarn could become in the future? And if you don't want to make, like, say that this would be a beautiful sweater, much like this one, okay? Because I believe this is a thin yarn. It's an acrylic wool blend. I have no idea. It looks like it's a DK or thinner. I'm going to say it's about a DK. Yeah. Feels DK. Although it says one of the ball could make a, I'm assuming that's a shawl. I don't know. Let it inspire you. And even if you don't feel like making what you think that would be beautiful, and say, for example, you think it would make a beautiful sweater. Put a little sticky note and write, I think this would make a beautiful sweater, and stick it to the ball of yarn and put it back. Keep that swatch attached to it so that in the future, and you can always change your mind later, or write down in a notebook, the Katia yarn would make a beautiful sweater if you're organized like that, which a lot of us are not. But also another thing that you can do to get out of your crafter's funk, and I've said this before, is make washcloths. Washcloths, first of all, are useful, and I actually need to make some more washcloths, which means I need to pull down my cotton bucket. I have a whole bucket of cotton. I need to make more washcloths because we've been plowing through the paper towels, and that's getting expensive because Ponyo is still not entirely potty trained. She's not house trained, and she keeps having accidents. And I'm plowing through the paper towel. I would rather have like washcloths or something I could rewash over and over again. And so washcloths are a really good way to get out of your funk, because you can literally do a stitch sampler. You do a stitch sampler. You can pull out your stitch dictionary or pull up a bunch of stitches that you like on the internet and practice them in your dishcloth, because it's a dishcloth. It's a washcloth. You could even turn it into a Swiffer pad just by folding over the edges. Okay, that could be used. It doesn't need to look good. It's going to be used for, something that's a dirty job, right? Washing your butt, washing the floors, like washing the walls, washing the dishes, whatever you use your dish rag for, your wash rag for, or your Swiffer. Like, a Swiffer pad is just a big washcloth. You just fold it over. You can practice your stitches that way, learn new stitches that way. Textured stitches work really good for washcloths. And there's not a pressure behind it, and you can just make it up in an hour or 2 hours, and you have done something to get you out of your creative block. Washcloths are fantastic for that. Another thing that I have actually implemented to myself this week is I'm making granny squares, and I'm not going to show that to you until Monday because I actually turned it into something. I'm turning it into something. So it kind of started with the flower power yarn for me. I did this is another swatching thing. I did a review on the yarn. This is the Red Heart all-in-one flower power. And I really liked making the flowers. I thought they were fun and they were pretty. I want to make them out of yarn that is not Red Heart Super Saver because this is not soft. And I actually started to have a breakout in my hands, an allergic reaction, after making just 6 squares. So, and I know this about myself, so I limit the Red Heart Super Saver in my life. Like, I already know I got to prepare my hands. I got to keep them nice and moisturized, but I also have to wash them after I use the yarn. Like, there's a whole things I have to do so that I don't have a full-on flare-up because my body does not like Red Heart Super Saver. And I really liked the look of the flower. So I made this little, it's nothing at this point. It's big enough to be a ponyo blanket, but barely. It could be a really nice little table mat. It could be, what? No, the door's locked. It would make a nice size mat for the table. I am thinking about putting non-slip rubbers on the bottom of it, like shelf lining or something, to put underneath my spinning wheel so it doesn't slide on the floor, because this is perfect size for that. So that got my creative juices going, but then after I finished that, I didn't want to work on anything big still. And so I was like, well, what kind of granny square can I do other than the basic granny? Because the basic granny square is boring. But luckily for us, there's 8 million other types of granny squares that are on the market. There's books on granny squares. There's a ton of tutorials and free patterns, which is what I used for what I'm going to show you on Monday. For all kinds of designs. Sandy from Crochet A, for example, did granny squares that were sun and moon granny squares. Beautiful. Jada Stitches has a bunch in her Etsy shop. So if you go to Jada Stitches Etsy shop, she has a bunch. And I actually made an entire Halloween blanket from her granny squares. She had pumpkins, Frankenstein. I don't remember what else is in my blanket that I chose from her shop. She has a bunch of cute little granny squares. They're little squares. But for what I'm going to show you on Monday, I did hearts. And I found it on some random blog on the internet. I think she has a YouTube channel, but I've never heard of her. So I'm doing hearts. And my thought was to just learn how to do one heart. Just one. I'm going to do one heart. That's all I plan on doing. So I pulled out my bucket. This is, I want to say my rejects, but it's kind of my rejects. This bucket, and it's not rejects. It's absolutely not rejects. There's beautiful yarn in here. This bucket has leftovers, okay? So if I worked up a swatch and the yarn is not my favorite, it goes in the bucket and it sits. And if I can decide on what to do with it in the next 6 months, cool. If not, it takes off to another house or to the donation, or like it goes on to its next owner. All right. There's a lot of full balls in here. Like, I love this stuff. This stuff is so good. This stuff is so good. But some of these are leftover from projects as well. I also have leftover from projects. Leftover from projects. Scrap balls. Ernie's head just fell on the floor. And I also have her head on the floor because I used the yarn, but I didn't use her head. So there's scrap balls in there, but there's leftovers, or there's the rejects. And hopefully nobody eats Ernie's head. Please don't eat Ernie's head, okay? I'll pick it up when we're done. He's still just staring at me. I pulled out some scraps in what I consider to be Valentine colors. And I made a granny square that is a heart. And the center is pink. The outside is black. And then outside of that, I think I did red. And I just made a granny heart. And I was like, all right, I succeeded. And then I was like, okay, well, I would like to remember how to make this, because it was a lot of single, half double, double, treble, two trebles, chain two, two trebles, double, and like I was trying to memorize it. In order to memorize, I had to make more than one. So like, I'm gonna make another one just to see if I got the hang of the heart. So I made another one. I was like, well, I might as well make a third one so I can really practice, because I was enjoying it. Much like with the hearts, I enjoyed that. And the next thing I know, I had 9 squares and I started a blanket. Did I want to make a blanket? No. Did I have intentions to make a blanket? No. I was just making granny squares. But I'm like, while I'm making the granny squares, I'm going to practice the join as you go method. So I made the granny squares way bigger than they were supposed to be. The original squares were like maybe 4 by 4, maybe 5 by 5. And I made them closer to 8 by 8, I think. They might even be 10 by 10, because I just kept doing rows around them. And then I practiced the join as you go method. So I joined 3 together. And I was like, that's a good width for like a small little throw blanket. And I was like, okay, but 3 by 3 is too small. That would be a real small baby blanket. I wanted it to be a little bigger. So when I did the strips, I added a row in between the strips, and then joined as you go the next strip. And then I added a couple of rows of just granny straight back and forth, and I added the next strip. And pretty soon I'm like, I'm really loving the way this blanket is turning out. I had no intentions to make another big project. I still, if I think of it as a big project, I don't want to work on it. I want to throw it in the bucket with the other blanket that I started last week. Or actually, that was probably 2 weeks ago by now. Because the whole idea of a big project is just too overwhelming for my brain right now. But if I keep in mind that I'm only doing a granny square, and if I do more, I do more, the pressure is off. So for me, that helps, because the pressure is what makes me not want to do it. Like, the more you tell me I need to do something, the less I want to do it. I actually will like reject things that I absolutely are supposed to be doing. I reject it. It's part of my neurodivergence behavior. Like, everything in my body will like, I don't want to do it. And I actually get angry because I don't want to do it that much. So the granny square is a really good, granny squares, washcloths, just small little projects. If you like hats, if hats do it for you, make hats to get your creative juices flowing. Do a hat pattern either you have always done and love a lot, or pick a brand new hat pattern and try to learn something new, because sometimes that will trigger something in our brain to be more creative, is trying something new. You are tapping the back of my chair, sir. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, good Lord. So yeah, that is how this week I am breaking the curse of the craft block, of the crochet block, of the I really don't want to touch a crochet hook feeling, by doing little small things. And that's the best advice I can give to anybody. If you feel like you just have no creativity left, you have done too many things, there's nothing that's inspiring you right now, and the last thing you want to do is crochet. But also crochet, like for me, crochet is a calm thing. It is a anti-anxiety thing for me. It is I'm going to take a few minutes just for myself, and that's crochet. I have a couple of things that's just for Jen. I discovered Legos recently. Like, Legos are my thing. Crochet, spinning yarn, those are things that just feed my spirit. And if I go too long without doing it, I miss it. But also that pressure is still there. So I have to kind of keep going in a forward momentum, that I need to keep crocheting. Because also another thing that happens is I have arthritis pretty bad, and I have a bunch of muscle issues and body issues, and if I am not moving my hands, they start to swell up and they start to get really, really painful. And so I kind of have to crochet or do some sort of exercises to keep my hands in motion. Otherwise, the arthritis it's too much for me. And so I kind of have to keep doing the things that I have trained my body to keep doing. And so there's another pressure behind it for that. Like, you gotta crochet. You have to crochet. You can't just let it sit. You can't walk away from it. And that's the way that I keep my creativity going, is just small things. For me, swatches are really, really fun. Swatches are fun. If you've never swatched, I suggest you go grab a ball of yarn. It could be a scrap ball, doesn't matter. Do a little swatch. And you know what? That swatch might turn into a square or a washcloth. That swatch could turn into a blanket like mine did. I was using yarns that were scraps and yarns that I hadn't used, and I mixed them together, and I made the blanket's beautiful. And it's almost done. Just because I wanted to make a new granny square. So, depending on what your need is, I mean, if you need washcloths, I would start with washcloths. But if you don't need washcloths, or you don't like crocheted washcloths, because not everybody likes crocheted washcloths, start with a granny square just for the heck of it. Or, you don't even got to do a granny square. You can do little squares of stitch samplers. So, like, you can make little stitch samplers, and you can make them as big or small as you want. You just get your little stitch dictionary, which my favorite one is actually on Amazon. I think it's in my drawer in the other room. Open to a page and like, oh, that's a cool stitch. I'm going to learn how to do it. And then just make a swatch. And then that swatch, put it on the side. You learned a new stitch. And if you want to, in a couple weeks, make another swatch. And you can connect it to the first swatch. And now you have, I don't know, a cup holder, like a little mug mat or something. Or you can make 4 of them and make an even bigger mug mat. Or like you can do 6 of them and make like a little placemat. And it's just a way for you to A, practice a new stitch, learn a new stitch. B, try to get your creativity flowing. And C, I mean, those little pieces add up. You can put them together and make something from them. So it doesn't have to be a granny square. It could be any square. Like, you can do any stitch. For example, this hat is the prime example of a stitch sampler, because I was just playing with stitches. And I made a hat. That's another thing you can do. As long as you know how to make the basic of a hat, you can add a bunch of different stitches in there and create your own design. So, yeah. That's how I get my creativity going. That's all I really have to say about that subject today. Sorry the video was late. Like I said, this week has been it's been crazy. It hasn't been bad crazy. It's just been really, like, chaotic. And a lot of, Mommy, Aunt Jenny, help me. Can you take me? Can we do? A lot of that. And then there's a little bit of extra work going on with homeschooling, because we're learning about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. this week. And I've been putting extra assignments in, and we've been watching videos, and it's been totally fun. But, it's been extra work and taking up more of my time. And I did not have time yesterday to make the video, because usually I do homeschool and then I record my next day's video. Back in the day, I would come on Monday and I would record 5 videos, and throughout the week I would edit and upload them, and that just made my life easier, because then I was putting in hours every day, but it wasn't every day the same thing over and over again, because that makes me feel kind of crazy. But doing the homeschooling, I don't have an entire Monday to do that, and the weekends are busy because I'm trying to catch up from everything else. So I put in a full, sometimes 12 hours every single day between homeschool and this channel. It's a minimum of 8 hours on a good day. It's usually around 10 to 12 hour days where I'm working. I'm recording, I'm editing, I'm uploading, I'm teaching. Like, between those, it's a good 12 hours almost every day. And I think that's another reason where burnout comes in and the creativity drops off, But I'm not complaining at all. I like the way it works. But because of that, because of the homeschooling being fit into my schedule, that is a priority. I try every day to schedule. Homeschooling is done by 1, and that doesn't always happen. And then at like 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, I'm in here working. Doesn't always work out that way, but that's why I try to keep by that schedule. And yesterday I was gone I was running errands from 1 to 4 o'clock. Came home, did not want to cook dinner because I was exhausted. So we went out, had a nice dinner as a family. And then by the time we got home from that, I was sick because I ate something that made my stomach hurt really bad. Okay, we went to a Mexican restaurant, and they have this new salsa, and I don't remember the name of it. It is a Mexican peanut salsa. It's got peanuts in it. Or I think it has peanut butter in it. Because it's creamy. It's not like chunky or gritty or anything like that. It's just like a sauce. It's a salsa. And it's real spicy and it's real good. I can't do peanuts at all. And I know this about myself, but they taste good. And I know that they make me really sick. Peanuts make me sick in a lot of the same ways that gluten does. Don't know why. Don't know what the connect is with those two. And so I immediately came home and was sick. And it was like 6:30 and I'm sitting on the couch feeling real just in pain in my stomach. And I'm like, what time is it? And Mr. Sim was like, it's 6:30. And I was like, oh. He's off. You want to go to bed? Go to bed. I'm like, I'm going to bed. And I took my crochet and I went upstairs and went to bed because I was exhausted. I was in bed by 7. I didn't go to sleep until much later, but like I was exhausted, and, you know. Alright, now I'm going to put in some Happy Mail in this video. So coming back to Sandy from Crochet Canada, she sent me a present. She's all, I sent you something from Amazon. I'm so excited. And I was like, okay. So because she ordered it from Canada, it didn't come from Canada because Amazon picks a location close to me and sends it from that location. It took a while to get here. Although that's Amazon sometimes, right? I tried to order something from Amazon. It's like, yeah, it'll be here February 17th. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go to Target. I will pay an extra $20 so that I don't have to wait until February 17th to get this thing. Because it was an extra $20 at Target. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna call it a day. I'm gonna buy it. I'm just gonna spend $20. Anyway, so Sandy sent me something, and I laughed when I opened it because it's a neck fan. Now I do have a neck fan. I don't think Sandy knows that I have a neck fan. I have a neck fan. It's either in one of these drawers. I think it's on the couch, cubbies. Yeah. It's in the couch cubbies. Actually, little man got a little irritated because he's like, oh, you have two. Can I have one? I was like, no, babe. No. They're mine. You cannot have them. And he's like, but I want one. Okay, so the reason she sent this to me is because I was complaining how I'm hot all the time, which is true. I'm hot all the time, except right now because it's freezing outside. So these are fantastic when you're having a hot flash. And several of you have mentioned to me about, just wait till you're in menopause, babe. I'm already there. Okay? I know that I'm only 45. I had all but a sliver of my ovaries removed 11 years ago. So they told me to go home from the hospital and expect to be in menopause. And then I got pregnant with little man. And the second he came out of my body and I was done breastfeeding him, my body went back to menopause. They were like, we're done. You're done. We're menopause. Just menopause. We're already there, babe. We're already there. I have all of the menopausal symptoms. But also, I get really bad heat. I don't know what you call them. It's like a heat flash. That's caused from my sugar. My sugar makes me feel really hot if it's high. And another thing is my blood pressure. When my blood pressure is high, my face, and I know I look kind of red now, but my blood pressure is not high right now. My face turns blood red, and my face feels like it's on fire when my blood pressure is high, which is a really positive thing for me because my doctor said that it's a good thing that I have the symptoms that I have because I know immediately how to take action. All right, this one's different than the one I have. I don't know what this is about. I'm trying to see, because it looks like it. Read the manual, which I right here. It looks like it wants to open up bigger. Let me see. I don't have my glasses in here either. Type C charging port, charging indicator light. Press button on the fan, work indicator lights. This one's a little bit quieter than my other one. So this one has output here, and the input is here. So it sucks in here and it blows out here. So you put it on your neck, and you can put it facing up or facing down. Now this is blowing mostly into my ears. So it will cool off your head. I don't know if you know this, but if you cool up, there's points in your body that are heat points. And if you're getting overheated, if you rub ice on those specific points, it is supposed to cool your body down. There's like spots in your elbow. There's like your neck. That's why they put cool towels around your neck when you're overheating, for that reason. Now, you can also flip this around this way, and it blows the air down your shirt. So, get a nice slow cooling the chi-chis off, like cooling like the back of your neck off a little bit. I use mine a lot. I will use mine when I'm cooking in the kitchen. I use it sometimes when I'm sitting here in between takes on the video because it's kind of loud. You probably can hear it, so I should probably turn it off. I use mine, my other one, like all the time. But the problem is it's usually downstairs, and I don't have it upstairs, which means when I'm having a hot flash upstairs, I'm just miserable. And a lot of times I am opening my bedroom window in the middle of winter and sticking my head out because it's so hot and I can't stand it. So I told Sandy, I was like, this one is going upstairs in my side table, because very often it's hot upstairs. Like, it's really hot upstairs. We had to close the vents because our heat vents are in the ceiling, and the heat just pours down on us. And I know the heat rises. A lot of you said that when I mentioned this last time. It's more than just heat rises, because our bottom floor is always cold because the doggy door. The doggy door lets in huge... It's like having your window open all the time. But the doggy door is so convenient. I will take a cold downstairs, okay? I will wear my slippers and a jacket. I don't care. Because just having them trained to take themselves out constantly makes my life easier. I highly suggest doggy doors for people with a fenced yard. So it's always cold downstairs because of that. But the reason it's always hot upstairs is this house does not have the proper venting that it's supposed to have in the roof. And we knew that buying it. The inspector told us that right off the bat. He said, you're going to have problems. And we do. It stays hot up there because there's no venting to let the heat actually go out the roof. There's a cap vent that goes along the entire roof of the peak. But there's supposed to be, he said, like 16 caps. Like actual vent holes up there. And there's not. For this size house, he said. So it might not be 16. It might have been 12. I don't know. And so the heat gets trapped on the upper floor, which is bad winter and summer. It's just always hot up there. And so I get real hot in the middle of the night, and especially when other people are in our house. If we have a visitor, which is a lot now, like almost all the time now, there's somebody here. We keep our bedroom door closed, and because of that, the heat traps specifically in my room really bad, so we had to close the vents off. And then with me having the heat flash, either the hot flashes from menopause or the heat flashes from the other medical issues that are happening in my body, I get really hot and uncomfortable. And I get real cranky when I'm hot. So I told Sandy, I was like, I'm just going to keep this in my nice side table because I'm going to put this on in the middle of the night when I'm really hot to cool my body off so that I don't want to hurt Mr. Cinnamon, because he's snoring and being all peaceful and I'm sitting there like miserable. Oh, I get so mad at him when he's sleeping and I'm laying there like, either when I'm real sick or when I'm really hot, and I look at him like, how are you still asleep? Like, I'm miserable, wake up. And it was the same way when my kids were little, like specifically when little man was a baby, because both my kids were breastfed, but little man was obsessively, like, he wanted to be attached to me all the time. And also because he was born ADHD. Like, he did not sleep from the start. And we did not sleep for 5 years. We were in the newborn phase, the really, really bad newborn phase for 5 years, where he was up every hour on the hour for nights and nights in a row. I did not sleep more than 3 to 5 hours every night for 5 years. And at that point, I felt like I was going crazy because you can't go that long without sleeping. And I don't sleep well to begin with. And I would look at Mr. Cinnamon, who was just laying there snoring, and I'm holding a screaming baby. And I'm like, I hate you. How are you sleeping? How are you sleeping through this? But yeah, I hate you. Wake up. I didn't actually hate him, but I was just so upset that he had the audacity to stay asleep through all that. Sir, you are on my nerves. And your eyes are crusty. I don't even know why you went out. There's nobody out there. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I just wanted to come on and have a conversation about how to... Because I've had so many comments of I'm going through the same thing with the crafter's block. And I wanted to come on and just... This is how we're getting through it. Small things. Washcloths, granny squares, swatches, whatever. Hi, sir. Whatever it is, let's just do it and get through it and get our creativity back so we can get back to creating beautiful masterpieces. And with that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Me and Bentley are going to go eat breakfast. Are you hungry? Yeah, he's hungry. He said so. He looked at me like, really? You got to ask. Of course I'm hungry. Stay safe, stay warm, unless you're in a really hot climate, stay cool. Stay cool. And I will see you on Monday because I actually am going to have something finished. Well, it should be finished by then. I don't know. I've got to take my niece back to college, so I at least have a car ride. I could work on it. I'm probably not going to work on it during the car ride. I might finish it tonight. I might just put in the last of my yarn because I have scrap balls that I'm putting into it and then call it a day. But it's going to be a heart blanket. It should be done by Monday. And if not, I'm going to show it to you anyway and then try to finish it during the week. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.